Welcome to Gray Areas for March 5th, 2024, episode 613. It's our first tier list as Gray Areas. It's our first tier list of the new year because we did a bunch of them at the end of last year and we needed to take a break. But now we're back with a slightly different one, though. We're going to rank some things, but maybe not in the way you expect.
So should we continue Dave's therapy session from before the show? Or
maybe.
Did you take my advice? My advice to Dave is he has to schedule time for himself. And Dave was like, well, I can't. And I was like, well, I do what you... It's good advice, right? Like I was saying, a therapist would not tell you, don't take any time for yourself. Can definitely continue to get burned out and hate your life. Like they would say, take some time. Do what you can to schedule in some time for mindfulness, some time to get stuff done. Right? I'm not crazy.
Did you also schedule in to take time to get lectured by Sean?
That is, that is actually...
is that what your therapist...
Can you send me a calendar invite, please? Just send it to my phone here, and we'll make sure that I schedule it properly in case anything changes.
I could be your therapist. I could be your therapist.
I like the idea of you being a therapist and just eating through everyone's fucking appointment over and over again as you're trying to give them advice. You're just shoveling food in your mouth.
I also like the idea that part of what Dave's therapy session would be is like, Sean is so mean to me, and I'd be like, interesting.
Write this down. Write this down.
That you had to convince yourself that you could be my therapist. You're like, I could be your therapist.
I could. Well, at first it was like an offer, and then I realized affirmation of like, actually, this is a great idea.
Your own fucking affirmation.
It's like I could do this, like it's possible, and then it was like I could do this, as in like I can do it. I'd be great.
I'd like to address the comments really quickly and point out this is actually not Sean's sweater; it's his wife's sweater. So
no, it is my sweater. She just wore it. I did get it from me though. Can we all acknowledge how good Cody looks? I told him when he walked in, I was like, I've never seen him wear anything but like a jersey.
Says the person who's in basketball shorts and a Suns shirt.
I'm just saying, like Cody,
like all the time, Cody and I wore regular clothes.
I just think Cody...
I think you got used to me wearing my Kings like sweatshirt, like jersey hoodie over and over again, and I'm not wearing that finally. And you just
and your hair's washed. Like it looks really nice.
I wash my hair like
I would ask if you were getting ready for a date, but
no,
you're
I'm
like
here.
engaged.
I'm stuck here.
I'm stuck here. I could be on a date, but I'm with you guys.
I could have gone out on a date, but I'm stuck here.
Yeah, that's fair. So Dave, just schedule some time for yourself. It is what a therapist would say. What WWTS?
What the shit?
Therapists say?
Yeah. What would therapists say?
Therapy. Just say therapy.
What would therapy say?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chris, why don't we move on?
I mean, we can. If you're ready to move on, Dave, this is part of the healing process. And when you're ready to move on.
You've healed me. You've healed me, Sean. I only need
Are you serious?
It's
I
fixed.
told you I could do it.
It's fixed.
Wow. Dang. Number one. Success right off the bat.
Man,
wait, I
Sean,
want to tell you guys one other thing before we jump in, because I know once we start the tier list, everybody's going to drop off. So I have just one more thing to say. Cody, I was walking the dogs, and I did all the best pictures from 2000 to now. I got those on lock every year. But then the 90s, they get a little rough. And I wanted to know if you could help me fill in the gaps really fast.
I don't fucking know them.
Well, okay.
Most people don't.
What's up?
Most people don't.
Yeah, well, I thought maybe like because 93 and 97 are like a little bit.
Yes, when I was 3 and 7 years old.
I'm not.
I was definitely in the theaters cheering for Homeward Bound or whatever the fuck I was watching to win Best Picture.
Yeah. So all the other ones I got, I think Titanic is a little iffy, but like the Shakespeare in Love, like that one's a tough one. But I know that one.
I know Pulp Fiction didn't win the year it was.
It didn't. It didn't. That's true. And I think Fargo didn't win. Or it's 93. It's the gap that I have. Fargo.
Well,
Chris just got it. Chris, I'm fucking.
We can save this for a quiz on a different show.
But I wanted to tell you guys special skill. The Oscar winners.
I just wanted my sweatshirt off. It's too hot. The takes are too hot. Everything is too hot. I couldn't take it anymore.
Well, look, the next time we do trivia, Chris will make sure to work in a best pictures from the years that Sean knows category.
That'd be so cool. I'd finally win a trivia, maybe. That would be the week the wheel would fuck me on the first roll, though.
I have thought about doing an episode where it's like the same game 3 times, but it's catered one each towards your strength.
Oh, cool.
And then, like, how many points can you pick off from other people's strength? But the problem is I don't know how much anybody's going to pick off of Best Picture Whereas like if I did, I don't know, like, well, I guess if I make it really specific, like if it's, New England Patriots lineman, then,
Holy
maybe
shit.
Dave gets 1 or 2 and Sean gets 0 and Cody goes crazy. But
I probably would do pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I have to find a way to make it so there is some overlap, because it's not going to be any fun if one person gets all of them and everybody else gets 0.
Well, especially, Chris, if you did... now, the Best Picture lends itself really well to this. I don't know how easy this would be for other ones, but like if you get just Best Picture, like give me the 20 Best Pictures of the 2000 till now. But then if you get the picture and the year, then it's like worth a little bit more. So there's a way to like duplicate that, because you could get, some of the Best Picture winners, from the last 20 years.
Yeah, because it's a bunch of movies I hate, so I remember their names pretty well.
Yeah. So my strategy would be try to knock those out early, like especially the recent ones, so that you can't take them, and then just go have a field day for the rest. No, well so Unforgiven is 92, and this is the other thing you have to do, and I think English Patient's 96, because the year that they won is different than the year that they came out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah. So, Peter, I think
you're wrong.
You're right, too. It's just a different way of looking at it.
Sean's saying you're wrong.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong.
And thanks for nothing, because he knew both of those.
Right. It's like the difference between a business celebrating 30 years in business and its 30th anniversary.
Yeah. So Peter, do 1 year later on both of those.
I do. Actually,
and that'll tell me.
That's the best way to be a therapist, too, is to make sure you explicitly tell your client that they're wrong all the time. That's
I didn't say Peter's not a client yet. I'm happy to. Fucking Schindler's List. I knew it was Schindler's List.
You forgot Schindler's List won Best Picture?
I remember, because
You're fucking stupid.
Every time I think back to 93, I'm like, Schindler's List, and I miss it every time.
It's like the one I'd actually be able to get.
Yeah. And, well, so then it's like... There's another one. So that 96, I don't know. Titanic was weird for me. I know it's in there somewhere. It's in the upper 90s, but
the upper 90s.
The upper 90s. Actually. 90. Anyway. Well, Peter says what?
98.
Dave's googling it right
97.
now. Like you accuse him of doing trivia 97
all the time. Is the year it came out, I think.
Well, that's what I'm saying. 98. Okay.
So it won in the ceremony in 1998. But that's not how you do it.
There we go.
Yes, 97. So in my thing, it's 97, which is what I said. 97, Shakespeare in Love 98, American Beauty 99. So I'm still right, but I think 96 then is the year I don't know. English Patient.
The thing is,
I think it's the English Patient.
Impressed.
He just said that.
No someone's impressed.
He just put the English Patient won in 97, which means it would have come out in 96.
Well, so 90. Schindler's List.
Peter just said
the moral of the story is Schindler's List is the only one I didn't know. So pretty good. And then the 80s, they just fall off a cliff. I think Driving Miss Daisy's 89, and then fucking I don't even know after that.
Why?
And I used to know all the way through the 70s. I had like Annie Hall and like Rocky, I think, and now I forgot all of them.
What information bumped those things out of your mind?
I don't know. That's a great question. I really don't know. That would be fascinating.
In my head, it's like the "Let's Go Out to the Lobby" song. There's just no room for those extra old Best Pictures because it's just hot dogs and like popcorn dancing in the movie theater.
Yeah. Wait, what did you say, Dave? You said what knocked it out?
Old age.
Oh, no, it's not old age. It's all the other important information. I'm trying to learn how to be a therapist, and your problems are so huge that I'm having to push out other things in my brain.
Which is a thing that therapists say to their patients.
which is okay if you're being honest.
Right. Also happened in the last 5 minutes, just want to point out.
But you were healed already.
Anything like you. You might be unsolvable.
Yeah, you were healed, and now you're fair game again. That's a nice transition.
Thank you.
See, I like more transitions like those than Dave being like, anyways, moving on.
It's just a nice screen wipe for the audio listeners. Nothing has to happen. It just happens organically.
Now I'm making fun of my patient again.
It's not a big deal. Look, the chat's even in this one now. I pulled it over. So you guys can still be a part of this.
Okay.
Now, I want to be very clear about something before you see NBA logos or hear me say the word NBA and turn everything off.
Yeah.
It's not like a basketball thing. It is, obviously, but more so, we're doing a thing where we just rank the franchises by how much we like or dislike them. So that could be for any number of reasons. It could be about on-court play, but it could be their logo sucks. It could be their jerseys are cool, so we like them more. It could be a rapist plays for their franchise. It could be, there's all sorts of reasons why you might like or dislike an NBA team. So we're just going to quickly go through and rank all 30 of them. The impetus for this was playing the Houston Rockets 3 times in the span of 8 days and growing to dislike them immensely in those 8 days.
Yeah.
It was funny how quickly it happened. Like, they're like, whatever, Rockets, they suck. Man, that game was frustrating. All right, we won. Man, that game was really frustrating. I hate them.
Yeah.
See, from a hockey perspective, this is how I've grown to I already hated all Canadian NHL teams, but when my team has played the fucking Edmonton Oilers in the playoffs over and over again because of the stupid structure of the NHL playoffs, I'm like, oh, I really fucking hate that team. I hate seeing them over and over again, so I can relate to this.
Peter's comment, the timing that it came made me think he thought, oh, that's great. Categories. This is the category for the tier list. I thought we were going to tier list Dave's therapy problems. This one, yeah, not so much, but this one definitely S. This is top tier.
We need to file that away, though, for a future episode.
Yeah, this
where
is
it's like, where does Dave's windshield rank versus Dave's refrigerator rank?
Exactly. This is my 1-1, Cody. It's definitely too many kids.
Whereas, like, he stubbed his toe, but that wasn't that big a deal. It went away pretty quickly, so that goes down an F.
Yeah, exactly.
Stubbed toe, I got over it pretty quick. It hurt, but...
He slides all over the court. Well, it's kind of his fault because he never buys new shoes, so, like, maybe that's a B.
I would like to implore the audience out there to suggest an actual therapist that I could see because Sean is driving me to it. So, just...
Yeah. I like the idea of tier lists, as Peter suggests, where it's like personal traumas, things that are like certainly less tangible and very difficult to get icons for to put in the tier list. I mean, I guess some of them, if it's like phobias, you could do because you could have like a spider or whatever, right? But I don't know how you're going to do like crippling depression as a pithy little 100 by 100 JPEG.
Yeah, and my concern would also be that's when I learned Cody's like both of his parents were murdered when he was young or something. I'd be like,
they were not.
Oh shit.
They were not, thankfully.
Well,
that's
good.
You could put like fear of like being responsible for a bunch of different people's livelihoods as just Jimmy Stewart from It's a Wonderful Life. That'd be a good symbolism of that, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Merry Christmas, everyone.
So Chakrok says if my Celtics aren't S tier, well, I have bad news for you. They're not going to be S tier.
They're not. You know what? Yeah. So let's dive in.
Let's do the one that's going to be perfunctory, right? Because we don't need to spend a lot of time on it, and that's just we're putting the Suns in S.
Okay.
Because the S is for Suns.
C tier.
So
it doesn't matter what Cody says to average it out. It's going to be 3 S's. God, I hope switching about this isn't going to constantly take Dave out. It's going to be annoying.
So, Chris, I thought we were going like S tier is like the Dallas Mavericks, where it's like the teams we hate.
No, the teams we hate.
Why the fuck would you do it that way?
I thought it was a hate list, is why. It's just
it's a hate list. The hated teams are on the bottom.
Right, like when we do the best TV shows, we don't put the ones we hate the most at the top.
That's fair. Okay, so Suns S tier. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
C tier.
Look, we're frustrated with them.
Be in the S.
We haven't even done a full Suns cast. There's a lot of things going on. It's been a long ass season at this point, and there's still like 20 something games left. There's a lot of things we could talk about, but we're not going to because that's not what this tier list is about. So we still ride or die with them.
Yeah, there's a lot of prolific point guards in the Suns history. They are the 4th or 5th best winning percentage in all of the league, Cody, which makes the fact that they've never won a championship even more, frankly, puzzling. It's just confusing at this point that you could be so good and yet so bad. So yeah, Suns S tier. I mean, for sure.
Yeah. Can we just put the Lakers F tier right now? Do we even need to discuss? I mean, it's one of those things that they're the constant hate, right? Like,
I don't know. They're like D for me because I think when I was growing up, they weren't like a big Suns rival, right? Like you had the Kobe Nash year that was pretty frustrating. And then you had the LeBron year, which was also what other rivalries are between the Suns and the Lakers really that we've grown up with?
They went up 2-0 against us in the famous Paul Westphal quote series back in '93.
Yeah, and it would beat the shit out of them.
Sure.
So, yeah, I mean, like, so to contextualize it, Dave, what I'm saying is like Spurs for me, 1-1 of F, right? So Lakers, to me, as a Suns fan, oh, okay. Well, I guess we're going to have some debate then.
Wow, I can't even understand where you're coming from on this. Like Spurs in 2007, absolutely most hated, everything worst in the world. They had their period. They're not on the F tier list. I kind of actually like the Spurs now a little bit.
Well, we'll get to it.
We won't go that far, but I will say, in regards to that, this is about now, not. And you can use the feelings from the past to dictate now, to be clear. But I have softened on them. To be honest, I softened on them when Goran Dragic beat their ass.
Mm-hmm.
That was very cathartic to where it was like, I mean, that doesn't even undo all the times they beat us in the playoffs, but that one series and that one game in particular was like, all right, I've exercised a few of the demons.
I mean, I still think D, though, because to be fair, Dave is like, oh, they beat us that 1 year. Yeah, try like fucking 5 years. Like,
no, that's not what I said. I said that was the peak. 07 was the peak of hatred.
Sure.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, Lakers.
I swear to God, if you put them in D, I swear to God, if you put them in D,
you want them in F too.
Yes, I fucking.
You
hate
used
that.
to be a fan though.
Yeah, and then their whole personality is based around like a rapist being on their team.
Well,
and the fact that they made a statue of a rapist outside their arena, and that the former agent of the rapist is like they're like. There's so much shit fucking connected to how terrible of a person that player was that, like, while Chris says now is the thing you're supposed to base it off of, well, they still fucking associate themselves desperately with that era of their bullshit.
But you're a huge LeBron fan.
I'm indifferent to LeBron more than anything.
Okay.
If they had like removed Kobe from their like fucking legacy and history here and moved on from it, I'd be like, yeah, fine, put him in the C. I don't give a shit. But no, they fucking are obsessed with this person who's not a good person. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. He was not a good human being at all.
For what it's worth, I probably have the Lakers in low D. I think I'm with Sean, but we'll put them in F just because it's a strong F from the two of you.
Yes. Super strong.
Only because now this present-day Lakers team got rid of a lot of the bench players that I did hate in that playoff run. You know, Andre Drummond being a little baby back bitch, and Markieff Morris had to stop, and like, you know, Rajon Rondo and all these people that I can't stand. They're not there anymore. I don't like the Lakers by any means, but there's not a ton of players on that current roster that I actively hate.
Yeah.
I hate what they stand for.
I'm probably the biggest LeBron fan in the group, so I should like them. But they're the Lakers.
Yeah.
But they're the Lakers. Sorry, they're always number one.
That's fair
for me.
No, I do think there's some merit in trying to do this in the order that they're in, which is just alphabetical, only because if we take out all the heavy targets early, we're going to be left with, like, what do you feel about, like, the fucking Cavaliers?
The Cavs,
I think C for Cleveland.
We got the big ones. We'll move in alphabetical order from now on.
Okay. Yeah, those two are the easy ones. The Suns are the layup. They might be the only team in S just because we'll see. But
so anyways. Atlanta Hawks. They're kind of annoying because they just have our fucking number despite not being like very good. I also think Trae Young's kind of annoying, but I don't like hate him like all of New York does. So
I don't think that I've had anything like against them per se. Although in 2021, had we ended up playing them in finals, I might have had something against them. That would have been we probably have a title had we played them.
Yeah, we'd fucking beat their ass, or maybe not because they always beat us.
So maybe you should hate them more for not making the finals.
I would put them probably in B. They did give us Boris Diaw for a pretty cheap price. I mean, I guess not a cheap price. Never mind. I wrote that backwards. Now C tier because we had to trade Joe Johnson to them because that was Joe Johnson's fault, not Atlanta's fault, but we did get Boris Diaw back from them. So,
kind of inoffensive. Yeah. They had that really good stretch where they kept winning 55-plus games and then not doing anything in the playoffs. You know, the Al Horford type of years, Paul Millsap. Present day, a lot of people hate Trae Young. I don't. I think he's terrible defensively and still doesn't get enough credit for his offense. Like the fact that he keeps struggling to make the All-Star team when he's putting up 29 and 11, I don't understand it. But I also don't really care for them. I'm never gonna like go out of my way to check them out on a league pass or something. So I think B or C is fine with me.
I thought that 1 year, I think B. Because the 1 year when they had what's his face, that one point guard who sucks, but he had a good year.
Jeff Teague.
And Jeff Teague and Kyle Korver. That was a really fun team. And then they just got destroyed in the playoffs, and I was like, "What happened?"
Swept by LeBron.
Yeah, that was
by LeBron. That's what happened.
Fun team.
And LeBron terrorized a lot of teams in the Eastern Conference in that span. So, the Boston Celtics. We'll get to Jack Rock's pick because he's a Celtics fan. There's nothing wrong with that inherently. You can make some cases then to be really low. I don't really hate this current iteration of the Celtics. They're a lot of fun to watch. They are clearly the best team in the league. I do not think it is that close. Now, will it hold up to playoff scrutiny? Can Porzingis survive an entire season, et cetera, et cetera? But, like, as of right now, I don't think I had the same problem. I was usually aligned with Sean, where he's like, they're overrated. They keep getting picked to win things they're not going to win and blah, blah, blah. They're a different team this season than they have been in most of the Jason Tatum era.
Very much so. Even I'm like, if they don't win I'm going to be shocked if they don't win the title. They're so good, it makes me feel better about the Suns being trash because it's like, I don't think no one's getting through Boston unless something happens anyway. So I don't mind them.
I don't know. I honestly, I've never really had a problem with them much. I was not alive when they beat us in the finals, so I don't despise them. Larry Bird was fun to watch highlights of when I was a kid. And really, I've never had a problem with them. I honestly, they're on my upper level as far as teams that I actually like in the NBA. So I'd probably put them up actually near A, high B, low A.
Yeah.
Myself.
Yeah, I think they're good. And even when I was saying they were overrated, it's not because I dislike them. It was just like, man, they just flame out when it matters most, this iteration of the team. But
this is the enemy of the enemy is your friend thing because you guys all hate the Lakers so much. You should
kind
of be like, Boston's not that bad.
And I didn't hate the Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen Celtics.
No.
Not at all. I had no problem.
I also like that Boston fans are racist. I think that's a plus.
Yeah.
Wait.
Come on, obviously.
Wait. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true.
Whoops.
So maybe we're going to that's why they can't be S. We'll put them in A or B.
I think A is good for them.
All right.
A is fine. Yep.
A is for Boston.
Is that good enough?
Yeah. From a group of Suns fans, that better be good enough because if it's not, then I don't know what to tell you. It's not going to be any higher.
Yeah. So the Nets, yeah, they're fine.
I honestly, for a while, they were my number 2 team. They were my number 2 team for a little while there.
Yeah.
And that was even before. The trade. Because honestly, I liked them in the bubble when they almost got the Suns in the playoffs when they had absolutely no reason to even try that game.
Yep.
So I kind of appreciated from them. And then they've got, the two guys that have my heart in the NBA, even though I understand the logistics side of it. So they're still way high for me, probably higher than the Celtics, honestly.
Yeah, me
as far
too.
As my like list.
And they're a template for a super team that fails. So they're going to be, they set the precedent for what the Suns are about to do. So that's nice.
True story. Yep. When we
trade
Booker for 4 first-round picks and a couple of middle-of-the-road guys. Great.
And then we'll start over. Just follow the Nets.
Yep.
Maybe one day we'll even trade to get McHale and Cam back.
Well, their fans are souring the two of them, so it might not take long. We have till 2026.
There you go. Okay, great. Cody, any feelings on the Nets?
I just feel like this is just an awkward franchise. Like, I don't...
It's true.
Well, they swung big early and struck.
I mean, again, my first memories of them were playing the Lakers in the title series, or the championship series years and years ago when I was younger.
Oh, New Jersey.
Yeah, when it was New Jersey. Yeah. It was like, it's just a weird fucking team, I guess, that doesn't know, I don't know what to do with it. I also think it's like one of the most boring looking teams in the league. Like, I have to dive in and like be like, oh, Jersey shit, but I'm like, really? They're black and white?
Well, it does matter. It's part of it.
It's fucking boring.
Yeah,
they're weirdly put into Brooklyn because they
slick.
bailed on Jersey. I don't know. It's just a weird.
What do they used to be, like red and gray?
Like if you made up a fake basketball team, they're the fucking Nets and they're black and white. To me, like this is like the epitome of like, oh yeah, we just really threw together a fake team really quickly and then threw them in New York.
How far away is that from like the Wisconsin rims? Right? Like
yeah, exactly.
It's just like you just pick a basketball part, like the Delaware.
Look at the logo. It's a shield and a ball. I mean, like. Granted, the Lakers is literally a ball, but
yeah.
What do you think of the old Nets logo though, where it was like red, white, and blue in the '70s with Dr. J on it?
That's much better.
On the team. Yeah, that's fair.
Now, granted, it also basically is the 76ers, but it's better.
All right, so Nets, I have them above the Celtics. I mean, I root for them. They're not, good, but they're Brooklyn, New York, Brooklyn.
Yes, it's Brooklyn. They're Jack Rock.
We root for some of their players and can do without the rest, but sure we can put them high A.
Oh,
cool.
So sad.
Yep.
Charlotte Hornets. I don't give a shit at all. I mean,
this might be the team I care about the least on this.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
It's just
I don't care a lot about the Detroit Pistons, although at least they have a history.
Right, and there's the Monty connection there. There's at least a couple young stars there that are good.
I mean, Charlotte exists because North Carolina needs a basketball team because college basketball is so popular there. We tested this out when they moved, and then we needed to give the fucking city an expansion team, and then renamed the expansion team the old name. It's just a fucking clusterfuck of all this. I'm like, this team is basically only there because they feel an obligation to keep a team in North Carolina. Yep. That's what it feels like to me.
And for the extreme lack of caring that I have, I am dead center in the middle because I like right there in the middle of C. Like if we can make sure that there's 14 teams below them and 15 teams above them, I think I'll be all right. Put them right in the middle.
Yeah, I don't like them, but I don't dislike them, which is what D would start to indicate.
I was almost going to put them in D and use that as my apathy tier because I feel like if we maybe there is a slight dislike, so we use that for D. So I guess we could put it in C and then for Charlotte, and then just push it down as much as humanly possible.
I don't like Miles Bridges, so that can be a D.
There you go. Okay.
Speaking of horrible human beings,
there's that too.
Wait, I thought you said D,
yes.
Chris.
No, I mean
D
you guys
is
wanted it in
slight
C,
dislike.
so.
Oh, I have a slight dislike because Miles Bridges, but maybe that's not
And then
enough.
F is really big time hate, and C is
Yes.
apathy of we don't even know what the fuck to do with this team.
Okay, that's fair.
Yep.
Chicago Bulls. I mean, nowadays I don't fucking know. They're funny. What a train wreck they are. Like they have all these splashy trades, and you think maybe they're going to be good, and they keep somehow getting worse and worse and worse.
Have they won somewhere between like 30 and 40 games like every single year for the
just
past?
enough to keep from blowing it up and somehow keep running back this Levine and DeRozan and Vucevic core.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to be fair, when they had a healthy Lonzo Ball and obviously Caruso helping to terrorize people and like running up and down the floor a lot more, they were pretty good for a short time. Doesn't mean anything. It was part of a regular season, but they looked very different with a healthy Lonzo than they have ever since.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, they were, ever since Jordan, right, they had one period that mattered with before Derrick Rose blew his legs out.
Yep.
And that was it.
I don't dislike them. I think I've well documented the show how much I feel about Michael Jordan, but this is more of today's Chicago Bulls. Benny the Bull is a positive for them. You know, one of the mascots that kind of does I think a good job of being a caricature and kind of a funny thing. So I'd probably put him in mid B tier myself.
It's a good logo. It stood the test of time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go high B. I would say A because their history, I think, matters. They're it's cool. And I know they took a title away from the Suns, but to do what they did after the history that they had, which was fucking nothing, and then they won 6 and 8 years or whatever, that's so impressive. They're one of only a handful of actual dynasties in the league. I don't even know if I put the Warriors as a dynasty necessarily, but right on the edge. But the Bulls certainly were. Nowadays, they are nothing.
It
but
seems really sad that they're so middling for a pretty big market team that has that type of history.
Yeah,
like it's like, well, the Celtics were like bad for a little bit, but then have been pretty much good again. The Lakers were bad for a couple years, and then they fucking got good again. It's like there's the stupid saying of like, well, you want the teams with a big history to like be kind of good and near the top of the league for the health of it. It's like the Bulls have been pretty terrible, and I think the league hasn't even really suffered in any way.
And it's weird because the pedigree matters with the Lakers and it matters with the Celtics.
Yeah,
it seemingly doesn't matter that much with the Bulls, which is like strange.
It's like not one hit wonder is not the right word, but because it's just Jordan's
generation,
era,
and
then the Celtics have multiple generations of great players. The Lakers have multiple generations. And the Bulls are like, this is going to be a funny comparison. It's going to be the fucking New England Patriots. The Patriots sucked, got Tom Brady and got good, and are going to suck again. That's pretty much what the Bulls, and the Patriots are going to have a very similar history if the Patriots don't get better, to use football as a comparison of it. It's like, I think the further we remove ourselves from Jordan's career, we're going to be like, oh yeah, that's right. The Bulls were kind of good for like that one decade and otherwise are a weirdly mediocre franchise in a giant market.
Yep. All right, Cavaliers, I don't care. Good for them. They've been playing pretty well lately, really pretty well. And they're a small market team, so I kind of root for them.
The city should not have a basketball team.
Well, I mean, that's fair, but
the only reason they still have a basketball team is fucking LeBron.
Yeah,
I swear, if LeBron didn't end up going there, I am convinced this team would have fucking relocated.
And yet they have a title, and we don't.
And that's why I made fun of you for putting your team in the S tier.
Yeah. So
I also am pretty indifferent towards the Cavaliers. I think they get some positives because, like you said, they've been playing well. They've rebounded a little bit since LeBron did leave for the second time. However, they get a negative for Dan Gilbert and his Comic Sans writing shit. Although he has kind of backed out. I had him kind of almost like a mini Sarver for a little bit, where he's like too vocal, too much too much, too abrasive. So they're C tier for me. Just again, rather indifferent.
Also, bring back their old logo and old colors. It's much better than the
I
shit
can agree
they're
with
using.
that. Yep.
I actually don't hate the wine and gold, but I guess I have him like C. And I don't know what that does for a group, but
yeah, C.
It's C.
That's fine.
Do they pass the Hornets test? Are they better than the Hornets?
I care about them more than the Hornets, but not by a lot.
Do you only care about them more than the Hornets because they had LeBron in their history?
No, well, there's that, and the fact that they're actually pretty good right now, and they're kind of like dynamic and interesting. Mm-hmm. I don't really like Donovan Mitchell, but I don't dislike him either. I mostly dislike him for the Devin Booker comparisons.
Yeah, which we're kind of over at this point because Booker's already carved out his own niche in the league, and also Mitchell has admittedly also gotten better.
Yeah.
Yes.
At this point, it doesn't really matter. I think at this point, Devin Booker is the de facto best shooting guard in the league. But it is still close with a few others, and Mitchell's right there.
Yep.
The Dallas Mavericks. So this is an interesting one because they kicked our ass in the 2000s a couple of times. But I never really hated that team. Maybe that's the Dirk factor. Maybe that's a lot of other reasons. But obviously the last couple of years have changed this a little bit.
Well, so I loved this was my number 2 team easily when it was Nash and Dirk. And Michael Finley. I loved this team.
How times have changed.
Yeah, they were my number 2. And it was, I mean, no one's ever going to be more than the Suns, but it wasn't like a huge gap. Like, I really liked watching them play. So then when we got Nash, that was like Christmas for me. And then, yeah, they beat us, but I didn't hate that team. And it's hard to hate them when they had one of the worst upsets ever. And then also they had the Miami thing, which was also pretty fucking terrible. To then have the resilience to come back and win a title against a super team, like, that's a great story. And happy for Dirk. He's not by any means a bad guy. He's a great guy. So I like them. I mean, I liked them. Now I fucking hate them.
That's like it has to be one of the more conflicting ones because all of what you said is like, yeah, they were pretty likable for a long time, and now they're just really.
They're probably the team I hate the most in the league right now.
Yeah,
and
pre-Luka, they were an A for me. Like, honestly, I agree with you, Sean, and completely. I had no problems with them. I liked Dirk. They were an A for me pre-Luka. Now, F. Yeah. Put them down just above the Lakers because I cannot, like, everything about Luka and that franchise now. Jason Kidd, Luka.
Jason Kidd is another one. Yeah,
Kyrie. I was gonna get to that in a second.
Well, yeah, I mean, the wife beater. That's like, yeah.
It's not great.
I mean, I was gonna hold that against the Nets, but that was so long. They're not actively today employing him as their head coach. Yeah, he sucks. I don't really like a lot of their team. They're just kind of annoying. I actually find Kyrie these days to be sort of just like inoffensive. He seems to just go in and do his business. He doesn't talk a lot of shit. He just plays. Like, he almost doesn't even show any emotion.
Well, that's the thing, though, right? I was going to say it's been a quietly good Kyrie season, and the answer is because he's been quiet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But, man, I hate Luka, and I hate the Luka stands. That's also a lot of announcers are, like, all about Luka, and Tim Bontemps, fucking piece of shit.
And let's separate two things here right now. We've talked about this in passing ways before. He is a top 5 player, a generational talent, a phenomenal, just like, there's highlights of him that are fun to watch, but he's also the biggest crybaby in the league and plays the least aesthetically pleasing style of basketball of any team there is.
Yeah.
And that includes, like, the fucking Wizards. Just because dribbling the air out of the ball and then kicking it to someone for a 3 with 2 in the shot clock is the antithesis of what I want to see in basketball.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say D, because their history is good. I liked them a lot, but I really hate this version of the team. I love, like, last year, them getting eliminated from the playoffs in the way that they did was almost, like, as good as the Suns succeeding. Of course it was not as good, but it felt really good. So
I guess it depends on where Cody has them, because he can save them from an F if he's got them somewhere that's not F.
I don't like them either.
Well, I mean, like, is it F or is it D?
Oh, you can put them where as low as you want. I don't care.
Okay, well, I said D. Chris and Dave are both
I don't
F?
like them either.
Yeah.
Oh, yep. 1-1? More than... Or maybe that's not how... Oh, no, I guess bottom of...
the Lakers are the bottom.
It's yeah.
If the Mavericks aren't an F, I don't know what is right now.
Yeah.
As I consider the rest of this list, I don't know who else I'm going to put down there.
I mean, as of right now, I'll tell you where I have the Rockets, because it's
just absolute recency bias.
And we have, we
not.
also have some past stuff with them, too.
Yeah,
don't forget the 95-96 seasons.
We do. But we're going to get to Denver.
Denver, who knocked us out of the playoffs last year, so we should have at least a little bit of beef, potentially. We swept them 3 years ago, but that was also not really the Nuggets, because they had, like, fucking Facundo Campazzo in their starting backcourt, so, you know. I don't really hate them. I think I have them relatively high because, again, that is the type of basketball I like to watch. Jokic is a mastermind, but it's also like everybody else is bought in. Like, KCP wasn't really known for his passing and off-ball cutting before he got there. Aaron Gordon was a mercurial talent, but he didn't have the same, like, defense and passing awareness that he does now. So it's like his style has made a stamp on the organization to where I just like them still.
No, I like Denver a lot. And like you said, maybe we shouldn't because they beat us. But I don't care. We deserve to lose. We play like shit.
Yeah, and I don't think one playoff loss is enough to start like hatred, unless it depends on how it happens.
Yeah.
But just losing on its own is not enough to be like, well, they beat us, so they're dead to me forever.
Yeah, well, and I'm trying to think back. Now I can't think of it, but like the Suns losing on its own is not enough for me to hate a team. It has to be, the Spurs where they're breaking our noses and they have the refs cheating for them. And, that's Denver. They just beat our ass. And it's like, what do you do? They were just better in every way.
Isn't it just also like refreshing to see a team built that way
and
then win that way?
To
and
me,
not be like,
Denver's like the heroes right now because of the way that they were constructed, how they stuck with their players, which is, again, I'm not saying I regret trading Durant, but we very much did not do that. We had some failure, and we said blowing it up. And Denver said we had failure after failure after failure, and we're going to stick with it. And they did. And now having maybe the MVP candidate every single year makes that easier to keep running it back. But I like what they've done. I like the patience that they've shown. I like the way they're constructed. Yeah, I mean, they're great. I probably have them top of A for me.
That's about where I am.
Oh, man. See, I have such a struggle with this because a lot of what you said, I agree with you. Jokic is fun to watch. Jamal Murray is a great shooter. Aaron Gordon has found the way to maximize his talent. So everything about their style of play, the team itself, even Michael Malone, I don't mind as far as a coach.
Yeah.
Everything about their team says A to me. Problem is, there's stupid fans and all the people that by proxy hate the Suns through Denver because we were frauds. We were frauds that we beat them in 2021, which is complete bullshit and everything like that.
Why?
Murray, they would have beat us. It bothers me so much. And I know it's ancillary. It just continues to bother me. Like,
it's just funny to me that they're like, you're frauds. It's like, we would have beat you without if we had Murray. It's like, okay, you didn't. So, like, what are we doing here? How many times in history can you go back through the NBA and be like, well, if this had happened, it would be different?
And Dave, in my attempts to sway you towards an A, here's another reason I like the Nuggets. They're beating down of the Clippers in the bubble. When they came back from 3-1 down and beat the shit out of that fucking team, which we'll get to here pretty soon.
Yep.
And it was all in double-digit comebacks in 4 straight games. That was just
yeah, I love
chef's kiss stuff for me. And well, that wasn't a huge factor in my ranking. That's still part of it where I'm like, thank you guys, because it was fun watching that team implode before our very eyes.
You know what though? So I'm thinking A. Cody, do you have?
Yeah, I put him in A.
Okay.
That's
so Dave, maybe not top of A if you're still unsure. If you're a little bit lower.
Gosh, I would not say A. I couldn't say A just because I still have a little resentment, more so towards their fans, and I think that's the bigger issue. I don't have a problem with their team itself.
So let's say bottom of A then.
Bottom middle of A. 3 A's. Dave's is not enough to dissuade that completely.
So I'm wondering for time if like things like the Detroit Pistons.
Oh, we'll speed through a few of these.
Yeah.
Like we're not going to have a lot to say about.
I can't stand the 04-05 Pistons because they made the league such a horrible train wreck to watch from the mid 2000s. So for that, I'd actually put them in D. Good for
you know what though? I don't think that's their fault. I think they were just a product of what the league had become, and they beat the super team of the Lakers, so I liked them a lot. And they had no stars, arguably, and I just thought that was really cool. I like teams that do that.
It's the one outlier championship of the last 30 years. It's the one team without like a megastar that won a championship. But it was also unwatchable, and you had games in the 70s regularly. And then Track Rock brings up the good point, which is fans older than us remember all the bad boy Piston stuff, and almost every other team in the league hated their fucking guts. So even though we're not really around for that era, we obviously know of it. I don't feel super strongly about them, so I think I have them below the Hornets. They don't pass the Hornets test for me.
I mean, I would go
slight dislike.
I would go low B, high C because of that history and that team that I liked. And not being affected by the bad boy stuff, because I don't know. Isaiah Thomas kind of seems like a piece of shit, but I don't know. And they're so inoffensive right now. They've been so bad for so long. God, just have mercy, please, on the Pistons. My goodness.
When someone's that terrible for that long, doesn't it piss you off though?
No, I mean
it's like, can you fucking do anything right to get a little better? Like that pisses me off.
Yeah.
If someone's consistently fucking terrible, I'm like, can you do anything right to matter in the fucking league? It's fucking embarrassing.
Well, this is another team with pedigree, right? Some pretty good pedigree and
I mean
decent.
Yeah, I mean I think in a way I think it's dickish pedigree though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So okay,
well, I'm gonna throw that. I'm a D tier because I can't. I don't like them. I'm almost with Cody in that where like they make me mad that they're angry, that they're bad, and then they make me mad for their history too. So and then they have Monty Williams and he's really soured on me. So nah.
All right,
I have him low C.
So
I have
him
under Hornets. Yes,
there you go below Hornets then.
Golden State Warriors. My goodness,
what a polarizing pick. Despite Draymond's bullshit. And despite Clay getting in his feelings constantly in the latter part of his career, this was still my favorite team to watch when the Suns sucked, which was for about a decade. And that their period and stretch of revitalizing basketball again, much like the 7 seconds or less Suns, coincided with the worst period of the Suns franchise, if you don't want to count the drug days. So I still like the core of this team, and it's really hard to hate Steph Curry in general. They were on the other end of that upset you mentioned, the 8-1 with the Believe Warriors, with Baron Davis and company.
Yep.
So, like, I have them as a low A. It would have been higher before the last couple seasons.
Agreed.
I'd probably say in the B. I don't like the Draymond stuff. He just gets into beef with us for some. I mean, he probably gets into beef with a lot of teams, though. Although he doesn't punch a lot of other teams in the face in the mid-game. So that's just kind of unique to us, I guess. We've talked about it on the show, so we don't need to go to super in-depth. I did not like the Kevin Durant thing. Now, he's empowered. I'm glad he made whatever decision he wanted to. It doesn't mean I have to like the decision, and I didn't. The idea, Cody, you'll see a theme. The teams that do a lot with not very much, I love. The teams on the other end of the spectrum that just fucking stack their team together, I don't like that.
It did screw up the competitive balance of the league.
In the S tier.
Yeah,
though.
Trust me, I wrestle with that a lot.
Yeah,
but luckily we suck, so it's not the same.
Right.
So, Golden State, probably in the B, because it is a good style, and they are a team that other than the Kevin Durant thing, they built the right way, they stuck with their stars, they drafted well, and they found success in like two different, they kind of did a Spurs-ish thing. They found like a new era of talent to kind of get them that second, fourth title.
Right. And in a way, them doing it right with the draft and all that was what enabled them to even have a chance at Durant in the first place, but it also screwed with the competitive balance of the league.
Yeah.
So,
I, of course, have also like come around the opposite direction of, it was cool what they did, but now we've exaggerated it so much that I'm like, okay, well, now I'm kind of pissed at you for what you did in a way, and where the league went in that direction of like, oh, this was really fun for a while, but now everyone copied you in a way, and it's just getting to the point of like this kind of.
So, Cody, I don't think you were here. Some announcer said Steph Curry has destroyed like basketball, and everybody's all mad because he's such a good shooter. And it's like, no, you're not understanding. He did destroy basketball, because if you go play basketball these days, all anybody wants to do is jack up threes.
Yeah, exactly.
But they suck because they're not shooting at the clip Curry is. So now they think bad shots are fine.
Yes.
And it's so frustrating to play basketball like that. It's horrible.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. Is it's like it's being a victim of your own success in a way, to where it's like, this is kind of a bummer for what your success led to for everything. If they had won like 1 or 2 titles and then flamed back out after that, it'd be like, oh yeah, that was really cool. That was a really fun like period of time, and then it didn't work out for a long-term success. So no one really tried to replicate that, and now it's like, holy fuck, we're just in this cycle.
It's also weird because their titles are not that impressive if you think of the finals, but then you count the bloodbath they had to get out of in the West, and you're like, okay, that's actually, they had to go through a lot in the West every year.
I mean, basically like the Lakers titles of the early 2000s.
Yeah,
it's more or less the same thing.
Like once they got to the LeBron Cavs, who gives a shit? But anyways,
let's speed run a few, so we can save some of the big ones for last.
Well, but I hate the Rockets.
Well, then let's save them for ones that we hate.
So
Indiana Pacers, relatively indifferent. Feels close to Charlotte for me.
Yep.
Yeah, that is like exactly in line of like, holy shit, that's just a middling.
Because they've been run slightly better, and because of Halliburton, I have them above the Hornets.
I rooted for Reggie Miller back in the day, so yeah, they're above the Hornets.
Now I hate Reggie Miller.
Right.
Like,
but he's not on a.
Yeah, but I don't think of Reggie Miller as being in a Pacers uniform when he's spouting off on TNT. Yeah. He's just Reggie Miller.
So the next one I don't care about at all is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Like, they're kind of annoying these days. But I also don't care that much.
It's also the epitome of a team who, as I joked to Chris, I'm like, there's a handful of these teams that need to just become the Seattle Supersonics, and the Timberwolves are near the top of that fucking list for me.
No,
I don't even understand how that really exists as a franchise.
So they're like
Take off Kevin Garnett from ever being drafted there, and what the fuck is that franchise?
I don't know. They're defunct, is what they are.
Yeah.
But they also haven't had much success, so I find it hard. Like when they get a little too crazy on Twitter because they're following the lead of some of their stars, like Anthony Edwards. I'm like, yeah, but you don't know any better, so I'll cut you some slack for now. The play-in win celebration with Pat Bev and all that shit was kind of funny, but it's kind of like another indifferent one for me.
I'd slot them after Hornets and before the Pistons.
I like them more than the Hornets and more than the Pacers.
Okay.
Yeah, I have them like here.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Knicks, don't give a shit.
Wow, those logos are fucking.
Yeah, a lot of people feel strongly about the Knicks, and I don't care because we obviously were around when the Ewing days were happening, but ever since then they've been largely irrelevant.
Yep.
It's funny how much it matters just because they're New York's premier team. There's so many people that live in New York. Media is so centered in New York. I get all of that. But being a West Coast person my entire life, I just don't care. Like
the Knicks are the Bulls if Jordan never existed.
Kind of.
Also, give me a superstar that's played on the Knicks.
Exactly.
It's not Ewing.
Is it Carmelo Stoudemire? Is that the last
He
superstar?
played
Are
like
you
a
listing off people who are on
for
the
a
downward
season.
slope of their career?
That's what I'm trying. Jalen Brunson's not a superstar. He's really good, but
Not yet. I think I have them in D, and here's why. James Dolan, D for Dolan, but also because like they're a big market team and they should be better than this, and I get tired of hearing about them disproportionately to how bad they are usually. Now they're having a good year this year, and it's a much more fun team, and I think they won the Anunoby trade pretty clearly, so like good on them. But right now I want to put them in D.
I would go high C. So wherever.
See, I put the Pistons below them, that's for sure. So I'd be high C as well.
No, Dolan was Dolan's less annoying now than he used to be, but Dolan's fucking annoying, so I would say D too.
So like sounding like bottom of C.
Like bottom of C, and the Pistons need to go down then.
All right,
there we go. That's fine with me. I'm good.
So let's see. Magic. Who gives a shit about the Magic?
Yeah.
I mean, goddamn.
That's right with the Pacers and Hornets for me.
Yeah,
I want them to be good. Actually, I like their
There you have a
jerseys,
good young core.
and they have
Good
a nice
jerseys.
core. And the Shaq Penny days were fun. The Dwight Howard thing, that was kind of a fun team, although they got fucking washed in the.
Was it a fun
did.
team?
It was kind of nice.
was.
It was cool to see a team come out of nowhere like that.
It took what the Suns did, starting to shoot more threes, and then really ramped it up, shooting more threes with the one big guy in the middle, and then the Warriors took that into turned it up to 11 on that.
Yeah.
But it was the next progression of kind of what the Suns started in the mid 2000s.
But these days, they're probably above the Pacers. But I don't barely care. I barely.
I
care.
don't have anything against them at all. I mean, I
feel
don't
nothing.
care, but I don't. Yeah, exactly.
It's okay.
So-
They literally
passed the
feel
Hornets
like
test,
the replacement for the Hornets of just absolute completely middling. Because I'm like, I don't actually expect you to have been good. Like the Knicks should be good in some way. The Pistons should have gotten better because you're like history. Like the Magic have hardly any history because it got spoiled before it could actually get going.
So Philadelphia, I actually don't care about them. I don't like them. I don't dislike them. Embiid's cool. He's kind of annoying sometimes though, but he's really good.
Philly is probably they don't pass the Hornets test for me. Their fans they're Philly fans, so that doesn't help at all. They're constantly talked about as better than they are. They had the whole process thing, which worked? ? I mean,
Well, yeah, give me all those number 1 picks. I bet you I could work too for the.
well, it didn't. I mean, it got Embiid, and that wasn't a number 1 pick. So
Daryl Morey is annoying. Kelly Oubre's there though. We like Kelly, even though he's
beautiful.
we like
eyes.
Kelly the person. I don't know about on the court.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with them because I don't feel apathetic towards them like we do a lot of the C team tiers. I think I'm like low B on them. I don't dislike them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
again,
he's fine.
they're like this is like a better version of the Knicks. They're a bigger market team who's had some more success than the Knicks, probably like in line with what they should have had for being a bigger city and having all those picks. It's like the Knicks and Pistons mushed together and like a little bit more successful, and then you have the Sixers.
Well, and the Sixers were a ball bounce away from potential finals win if the injuries go down the same way with the Golden State. So, Kings. Oh wow, really don't care about them.
They shouldn't exist.
Feel
Just
a
say
little
that.
bit better about them now than because they were so bad for so long. And
Kind
now
of
they're-
commiserated with them, right? Like,
Yeah, the Sun
they
Kings.
sucked for a long time. That's what the Sun Kings thing was about.
Yep.
They had the really, really bad playoff series with the Lakers where they got fucking screwed, so we can commiserate with that a bit.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, I liked Mike Bibby.
Ew.
I like
God,
that
I
team.
hated him. I hated Mike Bibby so much.
Oh, he's U of A. That's why.
No, it's more than that. He's a complete asshole.
Yeah,
like
he's
an
asshole.
awful human being.
Yeah, we know even more so now.
Speaking of people who may have sexually assaulted people.
Well, I didn't know that. I just meant this version of the team with Mike Bibby and Vlade Divac and Chris Webber. Well, that was a fun team. And they very well could have won a title too.
This franchise shouldn't exist. I'm just like straight up. In every way, this team shouldn't exist. That city doesn't need a fucking NBA team. It doesn't have any other pro sports teams. It's nonsense. They were terrible for fucking long. They also have shit ownership. Had shit ownership for years and years.
Yeah,
like the
with
beam.
the Maloofs.
Like the beam.
Like the beam.
Like the
What
beam.
about the beam?
I mean,
I don't care.
All right, so they're like sounds like low C or like even
Low
D
C is
with
fine
you
with me.
guys. Jeez.
I mean, low C with me, but
I'm indifferent and yet still somehow offended that they exist.
I'm putting them on top of D.
Wow, somehow they got D.
yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that one, but that's okay.
Personally, I put them above the Knicks, but nah.
The
whatever.
tier list has spoken.
I don't care.
I don't care about the Raptors. We can throw them in really quick. C. I don't fucking care.
I mean, it's Canada, and I don't know why Canada has an NBA team. So there.
They got a title. Good for them. They did the thing.
They made a smart move getting
ever.
Kawhi as a rental. Great job, but
don't really care either.
so
yeah, I think Kawhi sold his soul that year.
Feels like between Pacers and Magic to me.
Sure, great.
Yep.
Yes, keep dropping all the crappy circle logos.
Washington Wizards, I'm just putting the bottom of D.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Jazz, I like the Jazz. I've always liked the Jazz a lot. And then I found out that Karl Malone is like maybe not a great person.
But John Stockton's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I like that team a lot though. I rooted for them.
Yeah, it hasn't aged well.
Well, what hasn't? Oh,
anything.
Well, yeah, John Stockton's like an
also, you want to get into
now.
Fans about Boston? Do we want to get into Utah fans?
Yeah, it's not better.
I mean, that's true. I think I commiserate with Utah, sort of a smaller market team. They still have not won a title. I kind of commiserated with Utah, but then
it's like they're like the poor man's Denver Nuggets.
I didn't really like the mid to late 2000s Jazz. The Darren Williams era, the Derek Fisher,
I liked
his
them.
daughter situation era.
I was jealous of them because I thought they were really well constructed. Carlos Boozer and
Andre Kirilenko.
That one guy, kind of a bit. I don't remember his name. Anyways, yeah, I like them, but
Mehmet
guy,
Okur.
He probably was a white player, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say big white guy, but I thought a better.
You're talking about Mehmet Okur. Yeah,
yes,
Mehmet Okur.
yes.
That's Chris mentioned
nice
that
point,
one. He
Dave.
got you.
They were a team that could have won a title. Speaking of it, they were really well constructed. They
also had an underrated coach for a very long time.
We talked about the Knicks becoming the Bulls if the Bulls didn't exist. The Suns and the Jazz both win a title if the Bulls don't exist.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah,
I don't know about their other opponents. 91 with the Lakers is different, but those two teams were really, really good.
Yep.
I don't know where to put them though.
So I mean, I'm B with Jazz, but you guys bring up valid points of John Stockton's an anti-vaxxer.
Yeah, but you look at now.
Shit.
It's not really the franchise's fault though.
And they've rebuilt themselves since, clearly failing with Gobert and Mitchell. They've rebuilt themselves pretty well. Are they going to win? Are they title? But no, but they've rebuilt themselves to an entertaining team at least.
Like I said, they really do feel like a poor man's version of the Nuggets, and the way they've built their team and sustained kind of middling okay success, but also not being embarrassing to the fucking NBA.
Yep. Do you when you know a guy, talking with him, and then he brings up something totally racist out of nowhere, and you're like, oh my God, why did you think that I was racist? First of all, why did you think that was okay? And I'm surprised to learn that about you. That's the Utah Jazz for me.
You're surprised that they're racist.
I was surprised to hear all this bad stuff about so much of their franchise.
I mean, they have been the whitest franchise in the NBA for decades and decades.
I know, but never meet your heroes.
I still feel like I have them low B.
Don't meet Salt Lake City. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, low B. I think low B is for me. But
totally
Dave and Cody have feelings, so I don't.
No. I was just making sure that we kept them a little lower and didn't put them too high for their franchise.
Okay, Houston Rockets.
I don't circle back.
I maybe just like them more than anybody here. I would venture.
It's the worst. It's one of the worst logos in the league.
I hated the James Harden. I hate James Harden, so I didn't like his Rockets team. I thought they were really annoying. I like Clint Capella. I thought some of the construction of the roster was good, but I didn't like them at all.
I hated Chris Paul.
We like PJ Tucker.
I didn't like Chris Paul at the time.
Yeah. They were a really unwatchable team during that whole run. You're right.
It's hard for me because I said I didn't mind if the Suns lose, but to lose in the way they did to Houston, I can't avoid some negative feelings about those 2 years. 2 years in a row having series lead and losing. It's like
the problem with that is Hakeem Olajuwon, from everything I've heard, is a wonderful human being.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So he's a great player, great guy, and so I can't hate too much. They were a upstart team that did really well.
But here's my counterpoint. Players I can hate, Mario Ellie. Players I can hate, Robert Ory. Players I can hate, Vernon Maxwell. Players I can hate, Kenny the Jet Smith. So Olajuwon, one of the best players of all time, one of the best people in the NBA of all time. But I found that team pretty hateable.
And now they're a bunch of fucking punks. What happened? They're so mean. Jalen Green, I was like, oh, you're kind of cool. You're fun. No, you're an asshole. I didn't know that. The fucking Şengün.
Do you feel like I don't know, maybe this is just me because I don't like the Celtics at times, the coach that they have and the coach that was the coach of the Celtics not too long. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
And do you feel like that vibe
we
might
don't
be
mind
what you're...
that you're a piece of shit.
Yeah,
Come
Ime
coach our
Udoka.
team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at here. Is do you feel like that vibe, the Celtics got rid of it? And we're like, we're gonna move on from this, and this Rockets no, come on down, it's fine. You're kind of a shitty person.
Yeah. So there are certain teams that I always root for to lose, and when I hear that they lose, I'm happy, and that's how I've been going about this tier list. So Rockets for me are maybe not F, but certainly D.
I have them bottom of D.
They're D. They're D.
Given past and present.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I'm putting them below the Wizards because I don't care about the Wizards as much as I care about the Rockets.
Clippers F. Some F more than other F, but F.
I don't get it. I don't.
Yeah. So I didn't like them with Chris Paul, and I thought it was hilarious that they just blew like unfathomable lead in that game. Were they up by 20-something points, and then they just could not score in that playoff series? It was against Houston, I think. Right? It was terrible. They were up.
I believe you're
correct. It was one of their 3-1, one of Doc Rivers' 3-1 leads. And I think in Game 7, they had a huge lead.
Yeah, that's just it. I can't narrow it down any based on that.
Oh, well, that's hilarious. Anyways, that was funny.
David, you're shaking your head. What reason is there to like the Clippers in almost any way?
Yeah, exactly.
See, the sad part is I actually liked that Lob City thing. I thought it was kind of fun.
Blake Griffin!
I've never hated Chris Paul the way people have hated him.
Well, I didn't hate him. It was Blake Griffin. And every time we played them, Dave, I don't know if you remember this, it would get really chippy. Even with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, they would get really chippy every time. And Blake Griffin's a fucking asshole.
See, I never saw that. Maybe I don't know enough about him. I never felt that, at least. Maybe that
his face was really punchable. Let me present some counter arguments then for getting Lob City.
Right.
First of all, that team that almost beat us in the playoffs, I did not like them one bit.
Which one? Which time?
In the second round where it took the corner 3 to salvage our season.
Yeah, basically. With Raja Bell. Yeah, I agree. I didn't like them either.
Didn't like that team
Sam
a whole
Cassell, best 8-second call in history.
Sure, that was hilarious. But I just didn't like that team in general. And then the modern day Clippers can go fuck themselves. Now they're better than they used to be because again, several of the players I hate most in this world were on that team at one point at the same time.
Yeah,
and I've talked before about how I wanted them to lose almost worse than I wanted the Suns to win that series because I hated them so much.
Yep.
It was making me lose sleep when we lost games 3 and 4. But it hasn't really changed. I kind of keep waiting for this team to implode, and they've had injury problems every season that have done it. This year they've been relatively healthy and they're in the mix. We'll see. Feels like a ticking time bomb to me, and Paul George is vastly overrated.
I don't like Paul George. That's the other thing. I kind of like Kawhi. I have respect for Kawhi.
I have nothing against Kawhi, because what has he done to have anybody against him? He just quietly goes about his business, almost too quietly.
Yep.
So
I have the Clippers in the highest of F.
Kind of annoying. I say F. Clippers F.
Cody?
Oh, I was already trying to list off the reasons of can you explain to me why you wouldn't hate them?
Yeah.
Which is me getting into listing off all the things you guys have already now said.
Yeah.
It's just why do they exist? Why are they around?
Memphis Grizzlies, now that they don't have some of the people I hate a little bit more, I hate them slightly less. I still really don't like this team.
I still really hate this team.
It's hard for me to today actively root against them because I go Desmond Bain, I don't give a shit. But they were really annoying for a while, and Dylan Brooks is gone. That was a big part of it.
Yep.
They had that swagger that they didn't earn, and the now infamous "we have no problems in the West" is really, really funny. When John Morant comes back, I don't like John Morant. I think he's a great talent. I think really fun to watch. I think he's an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
He got punished too strongly for the gun stuff. there's really no reason, no matter how many times he screwed up, was an idiot, to get 25 games when we had domestic abusers in the NBA getting less than that.
Yep.
However, it is one of those things where I'm like, I don't mind people making mistakes as long as you learn from them. He keeps making stupid mistakes over and over again. So it's one of the players I root for the least. I don't even hate him. I just have no interest in rooting for him whatsoever.
Yep.
So I have them in like mid D.
I have him below the Rockets myself, but I really don't like him. I don't like John Morant at all. And some of the history of like Dylan Brooks, ironically, on the Rockets now. But yeah, I'm
only going to say D and not F because they were so bad for so long. What was it? In recent memory, they had their first playoff win because the Suns swept them in 2005, and I remember that.
And I did like the grit and grind Grizzlies.
I don't know how I feel about them. Zebo was one of those like can't stand him. He's okay, better now. So I don't know.
He wasn't appeasing to watch in any way though.
Yeah.
No. He was like, cool. He's gonna do what he does.
All right. Well, so Grizzlies low D.
I put him right around.
Miami Heat. I like the Miami Heat. I respect what they've done. Heat. I think it's cool that they have found a way to win year in and year out. They had the big upset with Dwayne Wade and Shaq. They had the super team, which I didn't love, but they underperformed. So it's a little bit hard to hate them because
their hateable period, they actually weren't good enough to hate. They
didn't
actually succeed enough.
Yeah,
but they didn't succeed enough. But then they've actually succeeded so well when you don't expect them to.
Exactly.
I'm like, I have a lot of respect for this franchise, like more than most of the other ones in the NBA.
Yeah,
they managed to find a way to be fucking relevant since like their entire history, and they also have the multiple generations of really strong players over and over again that I think we're going to look back later on in the far off future and be like, wow, Miami's a really fucking impressive franchise. They're just not 60 years old like the Celtics and Lakers.
Yeah, they've never really tanked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they really haven't.
You look at like Pat Riley. He has to be now up there as a player, coach, owner, as one of the most important figures in the entire NBA for the success he's had.
Well, I think Spoelstra's going to get looked back as being one of the greatest coaches.
Which is funny because I think he was overrated for a long time.
He absolutely was, and then he fucking.
And then he's like, "No, I wasn't overrated. I was actually just always good. You just gave me the best player in the league. That's not my fault."
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
I can't get behind. Go ahead, Dave.
No, I was just saying I was probably high B for them. I've never disliked them. I didn't like the Miami D Wade 06 team just because I felt that was just kind of the throw yourself and get a call type of play that I always hated. But I didn't mind the LeBron teams. They were fun to watch, man. They were so much fun to watch. If you didn't like how they were built, fine. The play was fun.
I do think this current Heat team is overstaying its welcome just a hair, just in the sense of they're now embracing Heat culture on uniforms and courts. And I'm getting sick and tired about all the, look at the magic they get from their undrafted free agents. And then as soon as they leave, they become trash again. Looking at you, Gabe Vincent. Like, that's why I can't put them in A, but I think high B, like maybe behind the Bulls is fine for me.
But to counter off of that, I'm not actually going to change your mind, but like that to me is why they're so impressive, is all these free agents, they're like, look what they got out of them, and then they leave and they suck.
That's just Spoelstra. That has nothing to do with the organization for me.
Well, sure. But, they get something out of those players.
It's more so the fact that Jimmy Butler doesn't give a shit about the regular season, and his culture pervades everything else they do. He's already missed 16 games this year, and I think 4 of them are for injuries.
Yeah.
So I think I'll just put him in like the middle of B. Don't hate him. Like him. Nope. The Bucks I don't hate.
I do.
I
have no problem against Middleton. I like Jrue Holiday, even though he was like the Booker stopper, and
he's gone
but
though.
That didn't bother me, and he's not there anymore. But I really fucking hate Giannis. What I realized was I hate his style. I think it's so bad. And then I realized, he's a shitty person too, and I didn't know about that. But the more I learn about him, the more I'm like, you fucking suck. Chris? It might have just been you that I told this. He's like the fake nice guy. Like he wants to come off as really charismatic. He's always joking. And then you see his true colors, like when he throws the ladder and takes cheap shots on players. And he's just the biggest dude on the court who is a piece of shit. And I fucking hate him. Mm-hmm. I don't like Giannis.
Mm-hmm.
You're laughing. I don't know
with you fully
because I agree with you.
Oh, okay.
I agree with you fully. He's totally he's the aw shucks type of mentality while absolutely punching you in the back of the head every opportunity he has.
He's like the nice guy that you find out like doesn't tip at restaurants.
It went from the small market team who maybe shouldn't even really exist, who gets lucky and finds a guy and he develops into being one of the best in the league. You're like, oh, this is kind of cool for them. And you're like, oh, it actually all sucks, and I wish you just actually continued to fail and be a crappy mid-market, small-market team who never actually had any success because you're dicks about it.
And they're just awful to watch because it's just every fucking possession, it's Giannis free throws. Giannis dunk, or if he doesn't dunk, it's because you fouled him, and it's free throws. And you're like, what are we doing? How are we rewarding this type of play?
Don't worry, because they're going to be like the shittier version of the Bulls in like 10 more years when they're going to tank right back down. And no one will want to go there, and they won't hit on another fucking superstar.
And how I'm doing this tier list, like, I feel enjoyment when they underperform and lose. I don't really have anything against Lillard, but
no. And here's the top of everything. Patrick Beverley's on their team right now, lowest of D.
I didn't even know that. Interesting.
Yeah, well, he's been on like 4 teams this season,
Yeah.
so it's hard to keep track. Like says, the team that beat the Suns in the finals is hated. Sure, there's no correlation. Again, didn't hate the Bucks after they beat us.
I feel like the hatred's come in the last 2 seasons.
It has, yeah.
A lot more intensely. Because I mean, you guys were sad when they lost in the finals, but you were not pissed at the Bucks. I think if anything, you were like, well, fuck, they outplayed us and they beat us in the last handful of games.
They were the better team.
They deserved it, and it's been the residuals of them winning the title and it kind of going to the team's head, and then all the antics you've gotten.
Yeah, but also like you said, Patrick Beverley's there now. Bobby Portis keeps going further and further off the deep end. Grayson Allen was there, and while we've recently learned to embrace Grayson Allen, that was not great for a couple of seasons. Like there was plenty of other reasons besides just Giannis. But yeah, it's like Giannis himself. Because do I hate the Bucks for winning the coin flip and getting Kareem? I guess a little bit, but not really. It was like 20 years before I was born. So it's mostly just recent stuff, and it's primarily Giannis.
Yeah. So I don't know if we can put him in F, but it's a strong D.
I have lowest D.
Yeah, me too.
See ya.
Speaking of F, the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, I don't know if that's true, but let me think about it. I don't like their team, and they're full of assholes. And
I think it's really just the playoff series talking, because I think they hate us, and we're indifferent to them, much like we hate the Lakers, and the Lakers are indifferent to us. Because the Lakers are like, our rivals are like the Celtics. We don't see you guys like that. To us, that's just like a smaller scale version because New Orleans hates us for that series. And I'm like, whatever. You guys have a good young team, and none of your individual players are really that hate-worthy. Like, Alvarado's an annoying little bitch, but like, I respect how hard he plays.
Yeah, I hate Alvarado. And you're right with the playoff series, except that next year is what really solidified the hatred when
the Zion 360. Yeah.
Yep. And then we remembered because we did something similar, and it's like, ooh, this is kind of getting spicy.
But it was a gift. Have you seen what Booker does every game against them now? It was a gift that he did that 360. Booker goes 60 points against them every time he plays them now.
I just really don't like them. I hate the Suns that we kept losing, and I hate them now that we're falling below the Pelicans. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? We fucking suck. So I don't like the Pelicans.
I have them like high D. I don't feel as strongly about them as I do about the bottom 6 or 7 teams at minimum.
I mean, I don't hate them more than the Bucks.
I mean, I feel like this team is almost exactly like Sacramento. I'm like, I can't fucking believe this franchise exists. It's fucking ridiculous. It exists because the ownership became the same ownership as the fucking Saints, and they moved the team got to New Orleans and they kept it there. And I'm like, why the fuck does this franchise exist? You think we couldn't move this fucking team to Seattle and it would be better off?
At some point, I want to do the triangle relationship between like the Hornets and the Bobcats and Charlotte and New Orleans,
and them shifting all to, and then yet guess what happened out of all that? They're all fucking useless.
Yeah.
Somehow we moved all these teams around in a circle, and we're like, what did we get out of it? Who's actually successful?
You know what? I also kind of resent Zion because he's like, I don't need to lose. Everyone's like, you need to lose some weight, dude. You're in the fucking NBA. This isn't like, whatever. I won't. Maybe I.
Wait, I
shouldn't
think of an example.
Yeah. No,
Zach Randolph. He was
PC.
fat, didn't lose weight.
I can think of other examples, but I'm talking about like outside of basketball. The point is, you're playing the NBA. That much impact is bad for your body, and people are like, lose some weight, and he's like, no, I don't want to. And then he like fucked a prostitute, got her pregnant, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? So I don't really root for Zion either.
I like how you turned it into a John Mulaney bit.
Was
it? That no kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm just naturally, I hate the Pelicans. So okay, Thunder.
Maisie, if you're listening, Thunder. Just remember what I told you about Sean's voice earlier tonight, and when it gets all high pitched.
Speaking of things that should move to Seattle, the Thunder, who I don't hate, I think they're like B for me. Like Shea can be a little annoying. He's a little foul baity, but he's also really good. It's a good, young, talented team, and they were really smart. and how they've accrued all these assets, so they're a bit scary as far as how good they could be for the next 5 to 10 years.
You just wrapped it up for me. Is Alexander gets annoying sometimes with it's a foul or he scores, but he is also really good.
He also attacks the rim in a way that like James Harden and Trae Young and others don't.
Yeah.
So I don't feel as bad about him getting so many free throws per game.
Yeah.
I desperately wish this team's roster construction and all of the shit that they've done over the years since they moved, like they got shifted over, was on any of the underperforming major teams. And it wasn't fucking Oklahoma City who stole this team away from Seattle, because I begrudgingly am like, this team's actually fun to watch, and it's fun the way they keep fucking surviving and being competent.
Yeah.
The Harden, Durant, Westbrook team, even though I never liked Westbrook at all, those teams are fun to watch.
It's fucking fun.
And, yeah, and had a couple of bad breaks, a couple of injuries, really from being a close to dynasty, on that.
And one Klay Thompson game.
Yeah, and if I'm remembering right, I think they're the ones that like knocked right as Kobe's time as being like atop the league with the Lakers. I think they knocked them out in the first or second round early on when it was, I think, that trio, and I was like, that was fucking wonderful. I'm like, thank you. Mm-hmm. You did a very good service by stopping that chunk of that dynasty.
I was rooting for them so bad to beat Golden State. They were up 3-1, and they couldn't seal the deal.
Like Chris said, one Klay quarter basically.
Yep.
But
I have like high B.
Yeah,
I'm fine. I agree. I'm good with that.
Portland, I don't care. I mean, I like them a little less now because Ayton's there, and I don't like that guy anymore. But I don't loathe Ayton. I just kind of don't like him.
Yeah. This franchise is Lillard away, not having Lillard from just being completely anonymous.
Yeah. It's funny. I remember Chris would always despise Portland for unknown reasons. I always kind of liked them. So but I'm rather indifferent towards them now.
I've been indifferent to them forever. I
was kind of liked them. I liked Brandon Roy back in the day. I liked Clyde Drexler way back when I was a little kid. And I liked Lillard plenty. So they've really had a bunch of guys that I liked over time.
We smashed them in the playoffs.
We did.
2011.
That was fun.
So
I did enjoy that.
Jack Rock also a fan of Clyde Drexler.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm fine with them high B myself.
I think you guys skipped over the Jailblazers time
we did
span
slip
of
over
all
the
of that.
Jailblazers. I thought about
fair.
mentioning
That's a fair. The problem is I didn't really watch the NBA much during that time. I really kind of tuned it out during that time.
I just excuse it away. What the fuck else was supposed to happen around Portland? You were in the smallest of small markets possible. To
be fair, I don't have a problem with the Jailblazers. Like, if they were hurting a bunch of players, that's one thing. But just you go to prison on your own time, that's fine.
Drugs and stuff, it's fine. It's all good.
To be fair, I should knock him down. I'm going to knock him down to C because I hate Rasheed Wallace so much, and he was on their team. So they go.
I like the idea. In my head, Sean's talking about them going to jail on their own time. It's like they volunteer to go to prison, in the off season, and they just pop back out for the preseason. They're like, "All right, we'll serve the rest of our time later. We got to get back to this."
Rehab.
The rehab. Yes,
because prison's great. If I know one thing about prison, it's that it works, and criminals are rehabbed because we really emphasize that in our prisons.
Fuck Nick Batum and fuck Wesley Matthews and fuck that mid-2000s, late 2000s Blazers team. I don't know why I hate them so much, but I do, so I can't put them any higher than low B as a group.
They should stick right next to the Jazz.
Tell you what. Yep. Put them at the bottom, the top of C.
That's more me because I'm so indifferent now.
There you go.
The Spurs. So this might be the biggest debate.
It's the last one, but it's the most polarizing because things have changed and gone a lot of different directions in the last couple decades.
I don't know if they can ever not be F for me. Let me just throw that out there. So Wembanyama seems really cool. Seems like a good guy who's talented and has the potential to really make a mark in the league in the next fucking couple decades. But, I hate them for so long. They were a public enemy #1. And this goes all the way back to, I was rooting against the Spurs in 1999. My whole life has been against the Spurs. And sometimes we won. More often we lost. And they beat that Stephon Marbury team that I really, really liked in 2003. We had the half-court shot, and then we had a Jake Voskuhl hook shot that sealed another game. Took him to 6 games. I feel like that Suns team taking that Spurs team to 6 games, pretty impressive.
That's an upset.
It was kind of a victory in itself.
Yeah.
But man, they were annoying. And Tony Parker's annoying. Ginobili with his fucking antics, he's annoying. Tim Duncan, I don't hate as much as most people do, but his deer in the headlights is always like, dude, what do you want? You're almost the face of the league. Just shut the fuck up. and fucking play. And the coach he's amusing sometimes, but other times I'm like, you don't always have to do the bit. Like sometimes they are just questions, and you don't have to like
be a dick about it.
Yeah, like it's what do you want them to do? Not talk to you? Like it's a thing. But sometimes he speaks up for causes that I think are good, so I don't hate him as much anymore. But I just have a lot of feelings. And then you take in the broken nose, and you take in the hip check, and you take in Tim Donaghy, and Bruce Bowen is kind of connected to Tim Donaghy, but like the way he played Nash, it's like I hope it keeps David Stern up at night if he was still alive. It just
in hell.
It bothers me so much that was allowed. He was all over him for the entire series. And so, yeah, I hate them forever. I don't care what they're doing now. I don't care, Dave. You're gonna have all these
You
great
hate
points.
the state of Texas, basically.
Pretty much, yes.
Yep.
You're right.
Austin's fine, but Austin doesn't have a basketball team, so fuck them.
Yeah. Dallas, though, was my number 2. I liked Dallas until now.
Well, not anymore.
Yeah, that's true. They're an F.
You really hate Texas.
In the late 2000s, 2000s to 2010, the Spurs were 1A of the most hated everything. They surpassed the Lakers. I did not think I could hate a team more than I hated a team at that time for all the reasons that Sean mentioned. That is the stretch in which I hated them. Bruce Bowen is maybe number 1 on my all-time hated players list. It's possible. He's up there. Robert Horry is pretty up there too. That stretch, couldn't stand him. However, 90s, I liked them. They're fun to watch. And as stupid as it is, I liked David Robinson. I kind of had to. He was a really good player. I like as a 10-year-old, I'm like, he's got my name. He's really good. That's cool. Like I was 10.
I like the idea of like someone be named like Sean Elters is like a serial killer, and I'm like, well, gotta support him.
Right.
He has my name.
If Luka had your exact name.
Like if Sean's name was Miles Bridges, then he'd be like, well.
Yeah, it's like, well.
Also, he was a good dude. Like all accounts, he's a good guy. So there's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, that's true.
And
Admiral.
ever since we beat them in 2010, the 13 and 14 Spurs, those finals when they played against the Heat were some of the most fun I've had watching basketball in a long time at that time. I think those were great series. Styles were different. They completely reinvented themselves from the let's muck up the game and make it look shitty to, oh my God, this is fun basketball watch. Lots of passing, outside shooting, good inside, good defense. They had everything that I like aesthetically with basketball. And over time, then they became irrelevant. It was fun watching them become irrelevant. They're still irrelevant. Wembanyama looks like he's fun, seems like a good dude. Popovich has grown on me so much over the years. He kind of made me feel a bit better when he pulled the foul Shaq in the first 1 second of the season in 2009. It made me laugh. It still makes me laugh to this day how he gave that cheesy thumbs up. So they're not F. Like they're like.
Yeah, but then you bring up the Shaq thing, and then I think back to that's that's funny, but it's in reference to such frustrating series of them where they were fouling Shaq the whole time.
And I agree, and that's when I hated them the most. And after that, everything since then, I don't know. I've softened on them a lot to the point where I put them in probably C tier. I don't hate them anymore.
I think Hack-a-Shaq bothered me even more. I think Hack-a-Shaq bothered me even more because I don't think we could have beaten them even without that. Like especially then with Shaq and without Marion, they were just a better team. So it's like, what are you doing? Stop doing this fucking bullshit. Just let us play and lose on our own merit. We're already on the way.
Don't drag this out.
Yeah, like stop fucking fourth wall, like metagaming us and just win. You bitch.
I feel like if the passage of time has allowed you to heal, great. But I feel like we are underselling, or Dave is underselling, that the Spurs are basically responsible for everything that was wrong with our franchise in the 2000s.
Yeah.
For all the things that were already mentioned, but also acquiring Kurt Thomas was because of Tim Duncan.
Mm-hmm.
Acquiring Shaq was because of the losses to the Spurs. So forget the tangible things and the one that deserved the most ire, like obviously Robert Horry's hip check, as Sean mentioned, and the Tony Parker bashing noses with Steve Nash and all that. And we haven't even said the words Manu Ginobili yet. Fuck his European flopping ass. They're still F tier for me. They're not the last team in F tier for me because it has softened somewhat over the years. But the idea of putting them in C tier means you're a fucking fake Suns fan.
That is untrue, sir.
There's the hottest take you're going to get in this episode. How dare you put them in the C tier? If you put them in D, I'd be like, that's fine. Time heals all wounds, and it's not even the same team anymore. Other than Popovich, there's no remnants of that anymore. I guess Duncan's been on the bench a few times. Yeah. But it's not just any team, and that was not just one or two things that happened. It was an entire decade. Fuck the Spurs. They're in the top of the F tier for me.
To be fair, I brought up Manu Ginobili.
You did.
As well.
And I
want Chris to know that I am a real Suns fan.
Oh, God. And as I said at the time, they were the 1A most hated. It's been 15 years since then.
Yeah, but I feel like if they're ever 1A, like, I don't know, what's it, like the years where like LA was really good and Boston was terrible. Do you think LA was like, time heals all wounds? Like, no, they
loved kicking the shit out of the
blood rivals, and you should be so glad anytime we beat the shit out of the Spurs. Although, look at us now. The Spurs have like 5 wins this year. 2 of them are against us. Fucking hell, we just can't win.
One game where we were up big and blew it, and one game where we were down big, came all the way back and blew it anyways.
Yeah, because Durant can't hold on to the fucking ball. Freaking Durant, my new nickname. I think it's brilliant. Kevin Butterfingers Durant.
I was still mad at the Spurs when we lost to them in Mexico.
Yeah, me too. And those were close games too.
They've won 13 games.
Yeah, well, 2 of them against us. 2 of them against the Suns. Now, one of us. Okay, see. So I know what happens, but to lose 2 games in a row to a bad team.
No, it's pretty embarrassing. Yeah,
it's horrible.
Yeah, at least we won the middle of the 3 games against Houston.
It's like I would want to like this team because it's a small market team that's been successful in this and that, and I'm like, except for they just keep getting the fucking first overall pick. So
yeah. I think that's the root of it, honestly. And you raise a good point because they were really good for a good stretch, and then since they had one massive injury, they get Tim Duncan, and then they're really good for another 15 fucking years. So all their fans get to do is gloat about this and that because they never experience hardship. And what happens when they're bad for like 1 season after that? Wembanyama.
Yeah,
it's like fuck that. I mean,
get the fuck out of here with your lottery winning asses.
You're like the luckiest fucking franchise over and over again.
Go fuck yourself.
Like if the Spurs were the Knicks and had all those first overall picks, every single one of us would be like, that's fucking rigged. Everyone would fucking believe that likelihood of getting those players in those drafts over and over again is fucking rigged. Because it's San Antonio, you can't be like, oh, the NBA is trying to like help the small market team be popular. No, they just lucked into it. But I'm like, you're like the luckiest fucking franchise that existed.
I was so mad at David Stern because he was like, like his stupid fucking laugh. And he was like, if I was really rigging it, why would I have the Spurs win? I was like, I don't know, motherfucker, but something's going on because you're fucking us every year, David.
And it's not even just getting the number 1 pick in those 2 scenarios. It's the number 1 pick in a year where there is a clear generational 1-1.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because if you get the 1-1 in the year where Greg Oden is drafted and the Spurs end up with Greg Oden, everything is different because they missed Kevin Durant, right? Or whatever the case might be. It's not just, okay, but there was never any doubt Tim Duncan was number 1. There was never any doubt. I guess briefly there was a time where somebody said maybe Scoot was number 1 over Wembanyama. That take looks real bad now.
Yeah. Real stupid now.
Yep.
So the point is, like, it's a very good organization. They've been very savvy about how they've kept things going as long as they did. They're also the luckiest fucking organization in maybe all of sports.
And there are enemies, Dave. I can't believe you.
Yeah, Dave.
You're like trying to be sweet.
I just said it because they did. I just thought it was
funny. And you
gotta
be more like...
I'm putting them in the top of F tier because Dave has them in C. They can't make their way into D with the other 3 of us.
No, they gotta be F. I mean, my God.
And the history is fine for that. I'm just saying prior to and after, they would not be on that low of a list.
And after Manu and Tony Parker fucking suck still.
If we were to win a title sometime in the distant future, that's where I would probably just let go of the Spurs thing. Because that's the one thing that's holding me back is they stopped our best chance at winning a title. And it wasn't even on-court stuff. Like John Paxson's 3 hurt, even though it was only 8. But it's like, well, he just made a shot. It was a good shot. Like, how can I be pissed at John Paxson? I can be upset about it happening. I can be pissed as fuck at Robert Horry for what he pulled. And I can be pissed as fuck about people getting suspended for leaving the bench and the punishment hurting us more than the team that did the action.
That I still can't believe. And every time I see players leave the bench now, I'm like, oh, that's when I'm talking about David Stern the most. That's when I hate him.
Yeah.
And I think we're just breezing over like Mario Ellie. Like, he was on that team, right? And Sean Elliott.
Not in the times we
People
played
know
them.
Sean sucks. So.
What
Avery
was
Johnson's a little whiny bitch.
what was the shot? The kiss of death.
That was the Rockets.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I do hate them still. So good. So at least that.
So
confirms the
retroactively,
other
we're
one.
moving the Rockets behind the button. No, I'm just kidding. All right, anything that stands out as glaring on the tier list as we wrap things up?
I still don't care about the Hawks.
I'm impressed that you guys managed to do 5 West and 6 East and the B and above. So it's a pretty good balance.
I think
It's not too. It's not too much of leaning and hating on a bunch of Western Conference teams. I guess really it's 4 Western Conference teams because I don't really count the Suns as being one that you like. Obviously, you're going to put them up there, but it's pretty balanced.
And I think there's once upon a time I would have put Dallas in S tier. Like
Exactly.
that Steve Nash Dirk team, I would have had an S tier.
Like let's say Luka is on the Hawks and Trae Young is on the Mavs.
Well, I mean, yeah, and maybe it
like you're not gonna hate the Mavs.
Let's say we traded those 2 players for each other.
Yeah. Let's just trade them back.
Thought experiment here.
Yeah. It would make a big difference.
I'm just saying you would pop the Mavericks up to B probably.
Right. And to your point, Cody, it's also like the top is pretty balanced. The bottom is all the West and the Bucks.
Yeah. Well, it's Texas and Los Angeles.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Texas and LA. I do like the fact that we put the Hornets as our line of demarcation. We have 12 teams below and 16 teams above. I think we did a pretty damn good job.
They were almost the middle.
Yeah, to Peter's point, I mean, I go on rants sometimes, but this very few things fire me up as much as the basketball team that I hate.
Yeah, what does end up being? What's the mean here? The median? Is it the Pacers who ended up, or the Raptors who ended up in the middle? Like we were close on
Pacers
the Hornets.
are 15.
Yeah,
and the Raptors are 16.
Yeah, so that's about right. Those are 2 teams that I feel very little towards.
Yep.
Whereas the Hornets, I do have a slightly negative view of because of Jordan's ownership, because of Miles Bridges, because of wasted opportunities, and they've been just terrible.
I may have shifted the Pacers over the Timberwolves and Cavs only because at least they've been around for a long time. And the rest of these are just random, like early 90s teams that got dumped in. And the Pacers have some semblance of a history, but otherwise.
Yeah, but I didn't really like those 90s Pacers teams with the 2 O'Neals and Reggie and like I
did like those teams.
Rick Smits, wasn't a huge fan.
Yeah, I like the Reggie team. I wanted them to win.
All right.
But Michael Jordan, he crushes all dreams.
You didn't enjoy the Ron Artest, Jermaine O'Neal team?
No, but I did like them with Paul George and Roy Hibbert. That was kind of fun.
But they got stung by the best player in the league.
Yep.
Because they got stung by Jordan in the 90s and then stung by LeBron year after year.
And in retrospect, I don't enjoy Lance Stevenson's antics as much because
that's fair.
At least then he was a decent player as well as being kind of, super crazy, and then he just kept being crazier.
Crazy.
That's a name I haven't thought of for a long time somehow.
Yeah.
No one has.
Yeah, thanks Obi-Wan.
You're so right though. When you are good, you're allowed to blow into LeBron James' face.
Right.
Yes.
When you're trash, there's a little less lenience.
It's kind of the reason why Memphis is where it is, right? Like you have to be good for a long period of time or really good for a short period of time, or you don't get to do that stuff and then lose and then cry about it.
Okay, you're right. There's a handful of unlikable moments in that team's history.
Yes, but I did like that team as well. I'm with I liked, like you said, the Paul George Hibbert teams somehow going toe to toe with like the LeBron and company. It was pretty good.
Yeah,
but I think they're a good team to be in the middle.
Yep.
Wow, looking back, they have oddly slightly above average players more often than not somehow. Over and over again, much better than some of the other small market teams.
And also several white ones.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
Like not Utah level and not Boston level, but if you had to guess the whitest team in the league, it's them and OKC are close for third.
And again, similar to the Hornets, the Pacers mostly exist because Indiana needs a professional basketball team.
I guess the Kings have also been really white, but that's because they've been European, not so much because they've been white. Which sounds different, but isn't.
That's not.
All right. Well, there's our tier list. I will lock that in and save it and keep it for posterity. I have, I think, all of our tier lists saved and put aside. So someday we'll look back on them. Maybe we'll even redo them in a few years like we do with our video game best lists and stuff. But
had we done this in 2011, it'd be a completely different list. So I'm curious to see how this evolves in the future.
Be a pretty different list, yeah. And in 5 or 10 years, or one really, really bad playoff series could change this significantly.
Yep.
So,
and you're gonna in 3 more years, you're gonna have 2 more franchises to add on this list.
Yep.
That's right.
True story.
But then we'll have Cody's replacement on the
show. Exactly.
And we'll have been so frustrated with the Suns that we'll move them out of S.
Yeah. So yeah, tune in.
Fake Suns fan now.
Tune in next week for Cody's in-depth deep dive.
No, you said I have to wait now.
Deal or No Deal Island.
No, I was told I have to wait until you guys all watch it in like May.
We could just review it when we watch the show.
No, we said next week. You just keep forgetting what we tell you. You're going to walk us through it next week.
Chris said we would just review it as a show after we all watched it.
I did say that was a possibility as well, yes.
So maybe, then you're not listening to me.
Maybe why would I listen to you over Chris?
To be fair, it's probably the better one to listen to, but still. So just stay tuned because that might happen. We'll see. Also, I'm going to go on a rant because I've been doing a lot of reading and I have some concerns.
He's got some literature he needs to tell you guys about.
And then I have some beef with.
And after he does that, the three of us can talk about customized female players in MLB The Show. I have some thoughts about that.
Great. So it sounds like a packed show already.
Yeah, it'll be a hot take episode.
Don't touch that dial.
All right, that's the end of the show. Next week, we have some of that stuff coming up. And then we'll also have the 10th game show coming up where there's a couple surprises planned for that. In between episodes, you can find us at our website, grayareas.live, or at grayareaslive on all social media, especially YouTube, where there's new videos coming up almost 7 days a week. We will see you next time.